Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thank you for tuning in. My name is Elizabeth and I run the blog lifefromtheviolasection.com where I share my favorite practice tips, general advice, and tech for musicians. This is my kitty cat, Gazpacho. I just call him Pacho most of the time. He is joining us today. We'll see how long he wants to join us for, but he loves scratching on this chair. So today I'm sharing with you my favorites from this year. This is one of my favorite videos to make just because it's relaxed and I'm just sharing things that I love. It's a lot of fun. I thought it would also be nice to share an update on the goals that I shared on my channel at the beginning of the year. So I had three main goals that I shared on the internet, and that was to buy a house, to make $50,000, and to grow my YouTube channel and blog. I feel like I was pretty successful on the goal front this year, which is so exciting. So my fiance and I did buy a house back in April. It's so exciting and we love it. This is my studio space here in the house, and I don't think I've really showed you around, so I might show you around a little bit later in the video, but it is working out so well. And we really like it here. My second goal was to make $50,000, which is a point that I haven't reached quite yet. So far I've made $47,700 this year. Now, if my music students' families pay me for January between Christmas and New Year's, I think I'm gonna just hit $50,000. But you know, it's the holidays, so they might pay me like right after January 1st. You know, it's that weird time of year. So we'll see if I hit it, but I've gotten so close, which is really exciting. It's a milestone that I'd really like to reach. And I'd like to make even more than that, of course. So things have been pretty successful this year. I love the students that I'm working with. I've gotten exactly the kind of students that I want this year, which are, you know, dedicated middle and high schoolers on viola and violin, and they do their work. They're great to work with, and I'm having a great time doing what I do. My last goal was to grow my YouTube channel and blog. And I haven't taken a look at my blog numbers too in depth lately, but I did reach 2,000 subscribers here on my YouTube channel. So thank you so much if you've subscribed. If you haven't and you enjoy my content, I would love if you considered subscribing. It means a lot and you will see all my videos. All right, so those were the goals that I shared. And I basically hit those goals, which is super exciting. You know, I'm not trying to brag or anything, but it's great to share those good things and to take a second and feel good about what you've accomplished in any given period of time. So think back through the year, what have you accomplished? Even if you reached something that you didn't think was a goal, celebrate it. It's always good. Think about how far you've come. It's really nice to do. Oh, you brought Santa, Mousy. Thank you so much. What a good boy. Pacho just brought me a toy. He brought me Santa, Mousy. He's having a great time today. Okay, let's get into my favorites of 2024. We're going to start with my music teacher favorites. So, one of my favorites this year is my new studio space because it's exactly what I was hoping for. So, not to tell you too much about my house and its layout and everything, but the studio does have a separate entrance, which is exactly what I wanted. You know, just one entrance for students to go into. They don't have to see any other part of my house. So it enters right into a little mudroom, which is just like cinder block walls and concrete floor. And I would like to kind of renovate it, make it a lot nicer, make it kind of into a waiting space for students. That hasn't happened this year, but it's a nice holding area so that, you know, if I'm taking a couple minutes with, you know, my current student, they can be inside while they wait. They don't have to wait out in the cold. And then you enter my studio space and it's nice. So then within my studio space, I got the IKEA Billy Oxford shelves. So they have these glass doors and they just look a little bit classier, I think. And I bought those for my sheet music. Ideally, I would have found something like exactly the same, but antique and built a little bit better with like, you know, real solid wood. But, you know, after we moved, I needed real sheet music storage and there's no closet or like built-in shelf space in the studio. So I needed to get something and I was tired of digging through boxes for the first month or so living here. So ended up getting those and I love how I have everything organized. I'm still kind of trying to find some things. There are a couple things that have sort of been lost. Or like I just haven't gotten used to like, oh, I put this thing here because it's this thing, even though it's also, you know, it's just finding my new organizational system and truly like ironing that out, but I'm really happy with it. I do wish that it was nicer wood and real wood, but you know, for what it is, it's nice and it's getting the job done, and I really love how it looks. So here's an overview. So the piano bench is where most of my students unpack. Some of them prefer to use the armchair, just their case is better suited for it, but I do have one parent who sits there. This is where students enter, and I have one parent who sits here and does work during lessons, but this is my teaching area. So we have the music stand over there. They stand basically right there. There's my desk. I sit there, and you know, sometimes I'll stand up to play, help them out, things like that. So this is my general setup, but here's what I'm really showing you is these bookcases. So I do have an organizational system. The top is a collection of programs throughout my life, really. And up at the front, I have this program from when my college orchestra went on tour to Argentina. That's a picture of all of us that was on the front of the program. So I think that's just nice to see. Over here, I have my program from when I saw Itzhak Perlman in a recital in, I think, September this year. Then we have my violin music, kind of organized between method books, fiddle music, my music from like small youth orchestras and things, and then kind of fun pop culture music like movies and pop music and things like that. Then I have this cool little postcard art that I got from Colonial Williamsburg, and I have an award that I won in high school over here. Second shelf is my favorite because it's my viola music. So we have more teaching music on this side and more of like professional repertoire level things on the right side. So on the left, again, I have method books and then kind of harder compilations of things. We have kind of warm-ups and etudes here. So I have Carl Flesch, A Notebook for Viola Players, which is a book that I really love and highly recommend. And then we have more of the pop culture fun kind of things. So Disney music, lots of movies, Taylor Swift, things like that. I also have my theory books here just because it seemed to be the best spot for them. This is a binder of kind of loose sheet music, things that I did in college, and this cute little postcard that I got for free with an Etsy order, and I can't remember the artist's name, so I'm sorry. If I find it, it'll be in the description / my blog, but I might not find it, who knows. And then I'll show you this. These are CDs that I made when I was a kid. I went to a recording studio. Nothing like, you know, super prestigious or anything, but yeah, it's a compilation of things that I like to play on violin, and I think I had just started viola at this point, so it was mostly violin, but I did do like a layering project where I played 2 violin parts, viola, then I think my mom played cello and piano or something on the recording. Interesting to listen back to, but I love having that kind of time capsule. And then here is like the big viola repertoire. I've got like Bach, the Walton Concerto, sonatas, all the other concertos, all those things that I've done over here too. Then on the third shelf, I have my piano accompaniments for, you know, those repertoire things, for the pop books that have piano parts, things like that. This is like duets and chamber music, and over here I have a picture of my wonderful viola professor from college. Down here is my piano teaching music. I primarily use the Piano Adventure series, so if you recognize those colors, they're in order by level, and that's all Piano Adventures. And right next to that, I have a picture of myself with my first violin teacher. She's wonderful and has inspired me so much. This is a binder of all the chamber music that I did in college. Behind that, I have a textbook and Shostakovich by Ingrid Mezzo. I love seeing that there every day. And this was my marching band music from high school. Down here, we have kind of some random loose things like lesson notes throughout the years. Some great kind of reference books, but they don't fit where I put all of my other reference books. So they're down here. I have my recorder and my practice journals from throughout the years. Moving to the left side of this bookshelf. This is my fiance Harry's domain, right up here. So none of that is mine, but this is bass music. And then, you know, these are kind of just placeholder shelves for now. Trying not to grow my collection too fast, but I definitely have room to grow. This is my personal piano sheet music, and of course, you know, if a student wants to play any of these things, they definitely can. But these are the things that I have to just sit down and play, and, you know, things that I worked through when I was a piano student. This is more things that I worked through as a piano student, but more classical and just kind of loose leaf and folders and things. And then I have a picture of myself with myself with my mom and our shared piano teacher, because we had the same piano teacher. And so that picture is really special, and I love seeing it every day. In here I also have a little doodle that I made as a kid, which, you know, was very true. I did love piano. I did not want to practice though. So that's accurate, and it makes me laugh whenever I see it. And then down in this bottom shelf, it's kind of just the junk drawer, little things that I don't really have a place for anywhere else. Overall, I love how much room is in this. I really underestimated how much this would really hold, but I'm really happy with it, and I definitely have room to grow. And I think that it just looks really nice against this wall color and in this space. Okay, my third music teaching favorite is my music staff, which I switched to in August, I think. I made a video like right as I was switching to it. So if you'd like to know more of what my music staff is and how I use it, definitely take a look at that video. That'll give you a nice solid overview. But my music staff is basically an invoicing and scheduling client management system specifically built for music teachers and studios. So I had been using HoneyBook previously, which I really loved, but I was finding, you know, there were features that I wanted kind of specific to music teachers that HoneyBook just didn't have. HoneyBook is kind of built like for wedding vendors, and I'm not a wedding vendor, so it wasn't totally like integrated or specialized to what exactly I want, which is fine. And I was spending way too much time creating invoices every month. It was my least favorite task to do. I just do not like doing it. So my dream was to have my students scheduled on my calendar and then to just create an invoice for each student from my calendar. That is basically what my music staff does, which is amazing, and it has cut down my time making invoices by hours, and it is so nice. It sends automatic reminders if anyone is late to paying, and it also automatically adds a late fee, which, you know, you choose whatever you want. It's very customizable, and I love it. I'm so happy with it, and my students' families are also really happy with it too. My students' families really love how easy it is to pay. It was fine with HoneyBook, but it required like two-factor authentication. So some families would have problems with that, or, you know, they would just find it inconvenient. But my students' families also really love that I can easily add email and text reminders for lessons. So I have been having less students who forgot about lessons recently, which is also really, really awesome. Hi, you just staring at the camera? You're part of the video too. This guy is my teaching assistant, so of course, he is a favorite this year and every single year. I don't think he knows all that much about the viola. He knows that he does not like the high notes though. So, you know, if you're playing the viola, really dig into the C string, he will be happy. So last year I shared a bunch of different books that I love to use as a music teacher. Those recommendations still absolutely stand, and those are my favorite things to teach with still. So I didn't want to, you know, waste time by recommending those again. But if you're interested in what books I prefer teaching with, definitely check out last year's favorite video to see those things. A new to me teaching favorite this year is this book series, Basic Music Theory and History for Strings. I have been looking for theory books for my viola and violin students. And for piano, okay, so this is gonna sound random, but for piano, I teach with Piano Adventures, and their books are so great. They have like a series of books for each and every level. So for each level, you have a lesson book, a theory book, technique book, and a performance book. There's also like a sight reading book, and there are also like fun books of like pop music or Christmas music or movie music, you know, all the kind of genres that you can imagine. So these books are very integrated, and there's theory for each and every piece that you learn, and it's specific for the piano, and it is just so nice. It's so comprehensive for the students. That's what I was taught with, so obviously I like it, but I just love how easy it is. I don't have to do much planning work for my piano students with Piano Adventures because it's just all laid out so nicely. So with string students, I haven't found anything equivalent to that. Suzuki books have great music in them, but they don't teach you very much inside the books. It's just the music. And then a couple like, here's how to shift to second position, here's how to shift to third position, but not many exercises and absolutely no theory worksheets or anything. So I've been on the hunt for good theory books to teach my string students what they need to know about music. So I've landed on this one so far. If you'd like to see a comparison of other theory books that I've tried, I did just make a video on that maybe like 2 months ago. But this is my favorite so far, and I love it because it's specifically made for string instruments and each specific string instrument. So I just have the teacher answer key, but here's a random page. The answer key is full page for violin, and then small pages for viola, cello, bass, and then teacher tips. But everything is integrated for the specific instrument. So let's find a page with a really good example. Here, this page is on A minor intervals, fourths, fifths, and octaves. So I love that there are fingerboard charts here, and it relates to your instrument. It's not just theory that seems random or is based around the piano. It is based on your instrument, which is exactly what I wanted. So I'm using this with one student right now, and it's going really well, and I think that is really helpful. So I'm really liking this, and I do recommend trying it. This is the second level. I have not tried the first level yet though. My final music teaching favorite for this year is Staff Dungeon, which is a game on drmusic.com. And there are a couple other games on there. I've only tried Staff Dungeon and the robot game where you can build a robot, but I've been using it with students all the time now because it's really fun, and it gets them practice at note naming, which is so good. In the past, I've used musictheory.net all the time just for note naming, especially with new students who are just learning how to read music for the first time. So Staff Dungeon has been a really fun way to get my students practicing note naming without feeling like it's just a chore in their lesson and it's really boring. So a lot of my students have been having fun with that. Just the week after Thanksgiving, I played Staff Dungeon with almost every single student. Not so much my super motivated high school students, especially those who are like working towards auditions, like we just don't have the time for that. But for my younger students, we started lessons that way, and I think they really enjoyed just kind of slowly getting back into lessons again. I know Thanksgiving was only like 3 or 4 days of a break, but it could take a while to get back into the swing of things. Next up, let's talk about my favorite tech of the year. So my very favorite thing is my new laptop that I got in August. So my main computer is a Mac Mini. I believe is the M2 Mac Mini. And I love that. I have a Samsung monitor for it and it works beautifully. But since it is, a standalone computer, I can't move it around the house for the different rooms that I like to work in when I'm not teaching, but doing, my freelance writing work or invoices, other behind the scenes things. So for that, I had been using my iPad Pro, which I love my iPad, but it's not exactly a laptop replacement, and I am very much a computer girl. I'm that brand of person where the bigger the task, the bigger the screen. So for all things work, I do prefer to use a real computer and not just an iPad. So I had mostly been using my iPad, but I still had my laptop from college, which was a 2015 MacBook Pro. I loved that computer. It was my dream computer in 2015. And it served me well for about 5 or 6 years. And then at the start of, I guess last year, 2023, I bought my M2 Mac Mini. So it was just slowing down a lot. There was like no space. I just needed an upgrade. And especially with all the online teaching that I do, having a big monitor is so nice. I can see everything really, really clearly. Anyway, I still used my laptop for crafting because I have a Cricut and I love that. Honorable mention to my Cricut. Love it. But one day I was trying to craft and my laptop just died. Like, it fully died. I couldn't click the trackpad down, and I Googled it, and that is a sign of complete death. So thankfully I didn't have many files on it. I had factory reset it, so the only files that I lost were a couple like crafting PNGs that I wanted, but it's not the end of the world. So anyway, I felt really bad, but then I got this guy on sale. There's so many M's in this. It's taking me a long time to say, but this is the Midnight M3 MacBook Air. Got it, okay. And I have it in the 15-inch edition. It is beautiful. I love the large screen on a laptop. It is so nice. It's so lightweight too and very thin compared to my 2015 MacBook Pro. So this has been so good. I feel like I've been so productive on it too. I can do all the work that I need to outside of the studio without, having to come down here. I know that is such a first world problem, but I like to be comfy on the couch. So I love this laptop. It is great. I do wish it had some more ports, but that is how tech is in 2024. So not much I can do except get some dongles, but I don't need to plug in crazy stuff all that much. My other tech favorite of the year is my Stream Deck, which my fiance Harry got me for my birthday. So let's go over to my desk and take a look at that. Here's my Stream Deck. It sits right on my desk. Here's my computer, and it's right here so that I can easily press the buttons. So this is almost like a little remote with icons that you can customize, and it'll do whatever you set it up to do. So a lot of these are just kind of standard ones that it came with, so I haven't edited those all that much, but I have made a specific menu for YouTube and for teaching. So I use the teaching one the most. I usually just have it set up on this, and it has apps and websites that I can just press and it'll take me right to them. So the one I use most is the tuner. So my favorite tuner is Tonal Energy, and I know I just clicked it, but I didn't get it on camera. So I'm going to click it now, and the app just pops right up, and then I can start using the metronome or the tuner, whatever I plan to do with it at any given time. But it's so nice that, while I'm like teaching on Zoom, I can just press this and then it comes right up. I can also open Zoom with this, comes right up. And then I have a couple of different websites that I use often with teaching. Let's try YouTube. And there it is. Cool. So I don't want to go too in depth on the Stream Deck right now because I do want to make a full video on it. But you use the Elgato Stream Deck app to, customize the actual physical product. So this is what it looks like right now. That's the screen that I'm on. I can go back and it'll show me what the other page looks like. And it did the same thing on the physical product. So you can just customize and add your own commands in the app like this. So it's really cool. I'm still learning it and I'm still getting used to actually using it and making it part of my workflow, but it's really cool and it can save a lot of time. So I did want to share that as a favorite this year, even though I'm still kind of learning it. Next up is my favorite kind of personal music of the year. So my favorite album is still Being Funny in a Foreign Language by the 1975. It came out in fall of 2022, but I'm not tired of it. It was my favorite last year, and it's my favorite again this year, but I did discover a new favorite, as many of us did, which is Chappell Roan. So her first album, The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess, came out, I think, September 2023. So this is an album from last year, but many of us discovered it this year. So honorable mention / favorite new music to me this year goes to Chappell Roan. My favorite music to play just for fun has been this book of Harry Potter music from the first 5 movies. That is where my favorite soundtrack music is from. I feel like 6, 7, and 7 Part 2 are kind of forgettable, but especially the John Williams music from the first 3 movies is so good. It's just comfort music, and this is a piano solo book, so it has these beautiful piano arrangements. And I just love sitting down and attempting to play these. Some of these I can just sit down and play really beautifully, but a lot of them I have to practice at. So anyway, I just have a lot of fun playing through this. It's great, I think, as a musician, to have music that has no stakes attached to it. You just play it for fun, and that's what this is for me, along with a lot of like my favorite pop music and just like musical theater, things that I like to listen to for fun. It's great to just sit down and play that on the piano or even just pick it out on the viola or violin. Okay, now in terms of other media, my favorite movie of this year, new to me and new in general, was the Wicked movie, which I'm sure lots of people are going to say this year because it was so well done. I love musical theater. I used to see Broadway musicals a lot in high school, and Wicked is one of my favorites. For me, it's Newsies, Hamilton, Wicked, Les Mis, and probably Aladdin. It was so good. It was so colorful on Broadway. But I've seen Wicked 3 times, once on Broadway and twice on tour in DC. So it's one of my favorites. I've listened to the music since I was like 13 or 14. And so I have a long history with it. So I felt like the movie was done with a lot of care. The singers were all great and they did a great job acting. And I feel like just a lot of love and respect was put into it, which is what I value in a movie production of a musical theater show. So I'm so excited for part 2. I hate that we have to wait a year and whatever, but it was so well done and I'm really excited for part 2. Jonathan Bailey in it was like perfect Fiyero. I'm so excited. Now on to books. This year I finally read A Court of Thorns and Roses, all 5 books. Anxiously awaiting the next one, but if you're one of my students, do not take this recommendation because these are books for adults. I had put off reading these books because I read a bunch of the trigger warnings online beforehand and they scared me off just because, you know, there are things that I don't want to read about. I want to escape reality, but a bunch of people in my life were telling me like, these books are so great, don't let that scare you, it's worth it. And it was worth it. I really, really enjoyed these books. They're definitely romance and fantasy. So if you don't really like those genres, don't read it, but I really enjoyed it and I had a lot of fun reading these. My other favorite series of this year is a young adult series, so if you are one of my students, you can listen now. This is Once Upon a Broken Heart. These are written for young adult, but I mean, she was like 19 or maybe 17. I can't remember. But if you like fairy tales and like girly kind of Barbie movies, these are so good. This is also fantasy / somewhat romantasy too, but again, young adult, so very clean. But I mean, I have the UK editions because they are just so beautiful. And each cover has kind of some Easter eggs about what you're going to encounter in the story or somewhere in the setting. And they are just so beautiful. They remind me of Beauty and the Beast. And it's just so nice. The back covers are also just beautiful. So yeah, I will buy book editions from different countries if I like the cover better. And they have these beautiful maps at the start of each book. I love a good book with a map, and each map is a little bit different since you explore different parts of the world in each book. I was so excited and I was so along for the ride. The first book was the best and my favorite. The second book was also great. The third book kind of let me down a little bit, but overall I love the series. I will definitely read them again, and like one of my favorite things I've like ever read. Okay. Honorable mention / third place, just because I loved it so much, was A Dark and Secret Magic. This is by Wallace Kinney and it is her debut novel. I love fall, I love Halloween, and I believe she said this book is basically a love letter to Halloween and kind of her favorite movies and media and memories of growing up in the late 90s and early 2000s and experiencing Halloween at that time because it was just so magical then. So that is exactly my vibe and what I want in a fall witchy book. So every October I read as many like witchy books as I can, just because I love the vibes, and this book was so fun. I personally really enjoyed it and I really enjoyed the story, but the vibes were immaculate. Also, I pressed a really pretty fall leaf that I found outside while I was reading in October. So that is also there. It's a nice little memento for me later. Okay, last recommendation is seemingly random, but last year I shared my favorite new candle discovery. So this year I'm gonna share this year's version. So this is Under the Christmas Tree from Bath & Body Works. I'm not a huge Christmas candle person. I love fall and Halloween candles the most, but I got this in like November or maybe October, I don't know. And it smells so good. It reminds me of going to my grandparents' house for Christmas every year. And the fragrance notes are fir balsam, juniper berries, vanilla eggnog, and sage leaves. But for some reason, it just smells like fresh Christmas tree in my grandparents' house. So I just really, really like it. And it's been on a lot so far this December. And I'm just really enjoying it. So that's my random candle recommendation for you. That's basically what I've been doing this year. Lots of music teaching, lots of listening to music, lots of reading. I think I read 17 books this year and my goal was to read 15. So there's one book that I'm in the middle of and I've been listening to the Harry Potter audiobooks at night to help me fall asleep. So I'm, going through those every couple of weeks. So it'll probably be like 18 to 20 books by the end of the year, I think, which is great. I try not to set my goal too high, but 15 to 20 books is like a good year for me. Also, I'll tell you my top to listen to music. I use Apple Music, so I don't get Spotify Wrapped, but Apple Music has their own thing, and my favorite is Last.fm, so I track all of my music with that. My top listened to track was the 1975 by the 1975 from Being Funny in a Foreign Language. On every album, the first track is a title track, just named after them. So the first 3 albums, it's the same lyrics but a different sound. It's described as kind of like a check-in at where they are and how they're feeling, like what their sound for the album is basically going to be. And then on their 4th album, they changed it up, and 5th album is yet again different, but it's just one of my favorite songs. I think it's great. My second most listened to song is All the Young Dudes by Mott the Hoople. I love this song. I didn't even listen to it until like 3 years ago because I'm saying this on YouTube, but I love the fan fiction by the same name about the Marauders from Harry Potter. So I listen to this song all the time now, and I put it on when I'm nervous, and it helps me feel better. So that's my second most listened to song. My third most listened to song is Happiness by the 1975. It's a great one. Also off Being Funny in a Foreign Language because I'm still obsessed with it. Oh, my top artists were the 1975, Taylor Swift, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Chappell Roan, and One Direction because of October. So, all right, those are my favorites. I hope that was interesting for you. I love doing these because I just think it's fun to talk about things that I just purely enjoy. And it's also fun for me to go back to later on and just see what was I enjoying this year and that year. And, it's just a fun little time capsule for me in the future too. So if you are one of my 2,000 subscribers, thank you so much. If you're not, please consider joining the viola section. I would love to have you here, and I will see you again in the new year. Happy holidays.